Thank you, Anna. Good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here, and welcome to this session called Creative Co-Production is Not All About Money. Basically, as Anna said, I'm coming from the regional fund of Friuli-Venezia Giulia, and when we were set up 10 years ago, our industry was very, very small. And one of the first things that we knew it was important for our, let's say, industry to be able to grow was necessary to find financial support somewhere else to be able to make our films. So, obviously, it is about money. But the good thing is that after 10 years, we really found out that the most important thing is that co-producing on an international level not only was important to get the financial support, but it was important because we were able to have access to creative, artistic elements that we would have never had the opportunity to benefit from. So basically, the conversation that we will have today is really to try to find the balance between the financial tools and the compromises that these financial tools can somehow originate, and also the benefits that are coming from international co-production. And we are very lucky because we have a very, very important panel of experts here with us that we can share their experiences and their different points of view. So I will start just from my right with Dušan Milavec, production designer from Slovenia. We can also Ankica Jurić Tilić, producer from Croatia. Berger, cinematographer from Austria. Sonja Prosenc, director from Slovenia. And last but not least, Ludovica Ferrario, production designer from Italy. So thank you all for coming here and to be willing to share your experiences. Well, co-producing, obviously, it's a big responsibility, and the choice of the co-production partner is always very, very, very important. So maybe I will start with Ankica as a producer. I would love to ask you whether in your, let's say, co-production strategy, when you think about your co-production strategy in the whole development phase, you already have in mind what are the financial tools, financial elements that you need, and what are the creative elements that you're looking for when you're choosing a country to co-produce with. And if this is the same thing for all the films that you've done, or if it's by case, something different, something new?
Well, every film is like a baby. It's always completely different from the other ones. And so it really depends on particular projects. So sometimes we had it this way, and sometimes the other way around. So on some films, we wanted to work with, for example, for The High Sun, the choice of the DOP had nothing to do with co-producing. It was the first choice of the director. And then the collaboration followed. And for example, for the latest film I've done, we had a choice of an actor who has a Danish-Croatian nationality. So we were actually, we picked up Denmark because it was somehow natural, because we already have one strong element. Then, if it is our wish, it means less compromising later. So sometimes it's this way or another, but it's always compromising. It's always compromising, but this is what we do when you write a script and when you develop it. At the moment you approach the shoot, you know that you will do so many compromises in terms of if the sky is cloudy or if you cannot afford to have something. So this is just one part of the bunch of compromising we need to make. But it's not necessarily a bad thing to compromise. Sometimes it puts you in perspective, what is the most important thing for me? Why do I make this film? What do I want to tell with this film? So I can tell it this way or another. It doesn't mean necessarily if you don't have enough money, or if you are forced to shoot somewhere you didn't want to shoot, it can bring you something good. Something good can come up with that if you know what is really important. So this compromising thing doesn't mean, it's not always a sad story. I mean, we can all profit on compromising as well.
In all this decision process that you have to make, how important is your dialogue with your director?
Crucial. It's crucial. It's crucial, and there is one thing that I usually, I think that all the directors I work with, they all agree with me on one thing, and that is that the film is more important than us, and that we want to put everything to make this story happen, to make this story come out. So when you put it in that way, it's never about who said what or who wants to do. We just try to put our heads together and think what is the best for our story, what is the best for our project. And then I never say no, We just put everything on the table, and then we make choices. Some of the choices are made by directors, some of them are made by me, because at certain points I know better what will he or she handle with ease and what not, But it's always about this trust that needs to be developed in between us, otherwise it's a hell. Because the whole filming process, I don't know, among you, most of you probably did short films, and it's like 1 year of all kinds of torture and troubles, and feature film is 4 times more. It's like 4 years of constant marriage, collaboration, constant collaboration with the director in very high emotional state, because filmmaking is usually in a very high emotional state. So you really need to get along very well with your director, and he needs to get along with with his authors, with the authors he works with, and there must be a lot of trust. Then everything is easier. Then you make decisions together.
And maybe just one last consideration. When you are, let's say, considering the different options, the different possibilities in terms of co-producing countries, how does it work, your scouting process of the creative elements that you might find in that country? Are you working in parallel already in that phase?
That's tough. That's really tough, because then the crucial is the choice of a co-producer. If your co-producer has more or less the same taste, the same working ethics, the same attitude, and even the same moral standards as you, then it will be very easy to let him choose for you. Because you can really never know, I really don't, I know nothing about production designers in Denmark, and then I can watch the films, and it doesn't necessarily mean that this person who did this great film is good for my director as a personality. Maybe they will not get along together. And once you say yes, it's very difficult to say, no, I've changed my mind. It's like you say yes, and it's yes forever. I mean, you just cannot get rid of the person, because you have contract obligations and things like that. You see on the way that it doesn't work, but then you are stuck. You just need to deal with the damage. You just try to make the damage as little as possible, because there is no way out. I mean, it's like that. It's very tough. But sometimes you get lucky and you get more than you ever expected. So it's not a sad story in general.
Sonja, you are now. Your first film was a Slovenian 100% film, and now you're developing this new project, which is a Slovenian, Italian, Norwegian co-production. So you're entering in the magic world of international co-production, which is obviously compromises, but it's also benefits. In your case now, still like before starting the shooting, can you just maybe share with us how was the creative process influenced by this in terms of like script writing, casting, location scouting?
So I think the first co-producer that we started to work with was a Norwegian one, who saw the project 1 year ago and really wanted to be a part of it. And because one of our characters in the film was a foreigner, he suggested it could be an actor from his country. So when we planned test shooting, they also came to Slovenia, the producer and the actor, so we could try some things together. And of course, the script was already written, but it was still, developing a little bit. So this influenced the creative process as well. And also our idea to shoot parts of it in the landscape similar to what we can find on the other side of the border, so in Italy. And so this is why we also entered Italian production.
You participated in Torino Film Lab with this project in 2009.
9.
So after 8 years, the result of your first original idea, is it kind of, are you happy with it? It has changed a lot? Do you think that all these, let's say...
Well, I mean, the biggest change is that now the main character is not the same as it was. So there are two characters that are both important, but the focus is on one. And this is one important thing that changed.
You are not the same anymore.
Yes, that's why the story changed as well.
Yeah.
Because also in the meantime I made my first feature, which is good, I think, because this project is much more demanding.
Yeah.
And coming to all these creative elements that basically, from our point of view, from the funding perspective, as we were saying yesterday, they are points. Basically, I don't know if you know, but the minority co-production scheme for each regional, national, supranational fund works in a way that each professional has a point. And in order to get the support from the funds, you need to have a certain number of points. So you have to use maybe some DOP from one country, some from another, in order to be able to access the financial support. So basically, you come in a way when the co-production is there, and you are thrown in this magical world of international co-production. I would like just to have your opinion. Is it different compared to the way you approach a set and the pre-production on a set? Is it different compared to national production, or is it the same towards the script, towards the director, or is it exactly the same? And maybe this is very, very personal also.
No, of course it's not the same. First, it's not nice to be treated like an animal market, with the bull has 100 points and the cow 50, things like that. And the other side is that you have a kind of founding tourism, which is sometimes ridiculous. I mean, I would prefer, and I have a lot of colleagues to think the same way, that it could develop with the founding institutions all over Europe, that they think about the movie and not about the hotel rooms. They can sell with that. Because, for example, the film I showed you today with 1,000 hours, we had a support from the South Tyrol region, and we had to stop the studio work in Luxembourg to transfer a whole set to South Tyrol, to Italy, to shoot it there, to finish there a scene. That means, I think it was exactly the money which they received, which it cost. So it's a game kind of zero. Okay? You agree? No?
Yeah, I do.
That's a stupid side effect. In fact, nobody wants that. But everybody has his rules, and then it leads to that stupid consequences. And from my point of view, the alternative is just to look at the project and to say, yes, we want to have this film. Anyway, you are in the end title, very small, nobody reads it, like my name is always my little, so it's not for that. So like that, it has an influence. And especially, I think, for a director who is sometimes forced to accept collaborators, even if they are good, but it's not his choice, or not his free choice, or for actors, which is even worse.
Your experience also, the way you're approaching a director or a script, is it different when it comes to an international co-production, or you've been working both on a regional level and also with Germany, with Italy? Was your approach different?
I don't found the big difference with if the people found the same reason to do a good film. I've spoken. It's possible to do everything. I made a film with completely different. The director of photography was from the Netherlands, director from Bosnia, cinematographer from Slovenia, and we made the good film. This is, I think that it's not so big difference of working in Italy or in German or here. Depend of the script, depend of the theme of the film, and all the people who work with the project, they must believe to the project. This, I think, that is the most important thing in this kind of production.
I don't agree completely, because, I mean, first of all, it should be a free decision.
Yeah.
That's clear. If it's a free decision, perfect. But if you are obliged to have a Dutch cameraman who sees a mountain different than somebody who was born in the valley bit, you know, that kind of things changes subtle details, I think.
Yes, but I mean...
And if the director agrees and he wants to have that, okay, then it's fine.
But sometimes it's good, you know, because if we work only in the small part, we know each other, and it's very good that comes somebody from out to make something new.
Fresh
mind.
fresh eye.
Not only an idea, but also it's if you work together, or a small part of the people, I don't know, in Slovenia, we know each other. And it's very good if somebody comes out here from out. It's good for all.
Knowing that
Yes,
absolutely.
that's
There's a
a-
positive influence
yeah.
of the cultural difference, yeah, for sure. Ludovica,
Well, what I find different is that I believe we're like not soldiers. We're soldiers of something which is our passionate privilege of doing this job. So I really believe I'm doing service to narration, but I need to believe it. So if I'm chosen because, I'm not chosen because I'm the production designer, which is required from the director to help the point of view. If I'm not chosen for that, if I'm chosen and my country is chosen not because that's the proper place where to shoot, I'm not bringing service to narration, then I understand that I can bring service to the project, which will be my capability of finding a compromise. But to me, it's a no, strong no from the beginning. If I'm used for a production reason, but I believe it's very difficult. We always do this too much to build borders and separate things, no? So it's so tough to find. I mean, we have a very precise occasion, which is to be meaningful with what we do, which is narration. So I strongly want to believe that productions work as co-productions in order to bring a meaningful thought to what is cinema that brings culture. So in this sense, it's difficult to say. Obviously, if I'm in Italy and a foreign director comes, that's the only experience I had, so I'm sorry if I can't answer your question, but in that case, it has become a great opportunity for myself to open to a different method, to think in a different way towards what is my country, because maybe I know my country from an architectural point of view, and I'm sticking to that, and maybe another point of view brings me somewhere else. So it's always, that is the main interesting part of it. But before all of that, there's one only pillar, I would say, and that's the script. And I think we all need to help directors and scriptwriters to have what is here to become there, because it's only in that, feeding that then we arrive somewhere else. So I don't know if that's
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
I just wanted to add that what Ludovica said is also important for directors, because if it comes to a situation when the producer says this is the person you will work with, and I don't have any saying in this, I become really protective of my film. And luckily I have a really good producer who only has the best interest of the film in mind, so he takes really good care of me as an author. And for instance, I knew that in this film I won't work with the same editor I did before, so the producers suggested 5 editors, and they said, we think these are, good editors for this type of film. And then I had, a wide choice. And I realized I already watched some of them, their films, which was easier for me, because then I knew how they think, how they work. And of course, you have to meet the person to see how you click. Yes, that's really important.
And speaking about the post-production of your project, you're going to make the post-production in Norway.
Yes.
So the editor will be Norwegian. And we were speaking before with Christian about the possible obstacles of language, the language of the film. How will you approach the editing of your film with a Norwegian editor that doesn't speak Slovenian?
Sometimes I knew some project that had the same situation, so they use the subtitles, but I will be in the editing room. I always am for the whole process.
Okay, so this is also important what Ankica was saying. The choice of co-producer is like a marriage because it's going to last for years and years and years, and maybe for the creative elements it's more concentrated, it's more tense, because it's going to be just like it lasts less maybe on the pre-production, the production. So what kind of characteristics you trying to find on the other creative professionals that are working with you in terms of like for you to trust them?
I mean, at least similar sensibility, or it's not a very conventional film. It's not very story-driven, so they should be interested in these types of films as well.
I don't know if this has ever led to some, let's say, the influence, if the international co-production had an influence on this. For example, Christian before was sharing the problem of language when shooting a film with an interpreter. I don't know if there is a solution to this also in the pre-production, if language is a problem, and also in the production of in the shootings of the film, if there is a...
Okay, that's one level, pre-production and during the shooting, where it's just simply communication between the collaborators. But more important is the cultural background of languages and the visions which are connected with language. And there's sometimes a lot of mistakes possible. Everybody agrees, but everybody means something else with the same words. Even if you do it in English, so everybody has a different imagination from something. And I think the director's vision is the most important part from it, that it's very fragile. It's easy to disturb, even for the director itself. I lived quite often that the directors then, after a long way, he arrives exhausted to the beginning of shooting, let's say. And then he's scared that he becomes less critical. And I was very often saying, don't accept that now. Because then we were not finished the shooting day. Okay, but nobody is interested in that. It's the scene is bad, like that. Oh, maybe nobody will realize. So they are under strong pressure and stress because of that mixing of constellations, and this is risky. And it's very rare to find a producer who takes care of that. It should be the producer.
Yeah. But it's, once you choose the art that is composed, that you need your team to make it happen, then you just need to deal with that. If you can't deal with that, then you choose to paint or to write a book or whatever. But it is a horrible pressure, especially on the director over the shoot. And this is why I believe that all the questions needs to be answered during the preps, and everyone needs to go to the shoot sure about the most important thing, about that we understand each other, no matter background, cultural or whatever background. It rarely happens, but it is maybe the most important thing that producers should do, force the team to work together long time ahead. Because once the shoot starts, you depend on so many things, and you can barely control weather, mood, whatever. Yes, so I think that everyone over the preps, which is a low-cost time, it's not expensive. The preparation time, as we all know, is a cheap time compared to the shoot. And so everyone needs to be really available during the preps to make sure that everything is talked about, everything is agreed on, and then you only do, on the shoot you can do a small upgrade if the actor has a brilliant day or something like that. And that is tough to achieve if you are mixing these several countries and several collaborators. That is the biggest challenge. But I would like to say one thing that has nothing to do with the film in general, but with this idea of co-producing. Actually, originally it was a novel idea, just like the idea of European Union. It's a novel idea of exchanging cultural, the idea of European Agency for Cultural Exchange, which is the cultural thing of European Union, is to keep the cultural integrity and cherish differences in between countries. So it's a noble idea. And originally it's meant to protect European culture from US, I assume, because they are so aggressive in marketing and taking over cinemas and everything. So the original idea is noble, that we should exchange our cultural values and be strong, because compared to US, every European country is tiny. Even France and Germany are tiny countries compared to this huge country. So the original idea is great, but somehow on the way it became a burden. But
Yeah.
originally it can do some good.
I think we all agree with that, no? And of course it's not that we don't want to give out that, I think.
Yes, for example, none of the Romanian films would not have been done if there were no co-producing, because they can only get 100,000 euros in their country. Today, the new Greek way, nothing is possible without this co-production scheme. It hurts, but sometimes it makes the projects happen. For example, when we had a crisis on one of my films with some co-production elements, let's call it that way, I asked my director, would you like, I think that we are still profiting because we have 35 days of shoot, and without this money we would be forced to make it in 22 days. So I think the profit is still bigger than the burden that we have to carry with us. So it's always about what hurts less. It always hurts.
I think it's still in American production like that, even harder. May I discuss another aspect? Because we speak about the creative parts of the artistic side, but on the producer side, you have to accrue if you have a co-production with different characters, with different temperaments, different tastes, and that's what we feel sometimes too. And the most dangerous thing is when two producers have 50%. Very bad. Should be one has 51 and one 49. Otherwise, we lived ridiculous fights between the producers, hindering the production, hindering the distribution. For example, that film I showed you today from Janos, that was a co-production with two Hungarian producers, but one in Germany and one in Budapest and Austria, and perform a small part of France, but only the music was on French as well. And they had the same level, and at the end, the film could not be in Berlin and had no success. He was on the short list for the foreign Oscar, but they were fighting who is first on the title. It sounds ridiculous, but it was true. And that was blocking the film a half year. So you have human problems on all sides, not only behind in front of the camera. I mean. So but it's difficult. Who judges? If a producer is able to find partners, who judges the quality of the constellation? It's not possible. Or you have a leading producer who takes that risk, or that responsibility, but he has to have more than 50%.
So did you ever had any problem like that?
No.
In titles or?
No, because I'm really careful about choosing my partners, because there is so much risk and there is also responsibility. For example, if I work with you and I pick up this producer, and if I made a mistake, I'm killing the other 10 directors I work with. So it's not only you and I, it's the whole group of people that I work with. So whenever I'm choosing a partner, I'm thinking not only about this project, but about the company, about the other directors I work with. So it's tough. It's tough, and so, I mean, so far I haven't done a mistake. It doesn't mean that I will not do it tomorrow. But yeah, for producers, the biggest joy would be to work like 100 producers, having all the money. So it's even more. For us, it's such a huge financial risk. For example, my partner, who is bringing it only 10%, can block the film, ruin my company, and put me to bankruptcy. So it means that for the film of my director, for our film, I'm risking the whole thing. Not only this project, but my company, my family, the other directors I work with, the people who work with me. So it's a huge risk. So if you try to have this global overview, then you just don't do it. You just quit on doing this job. So it's better to solve problem by problem, go day by day. And I really do check a lot on the production partners that I work with, because it's not only about this particular project, it's the whole thing. It's horrible. And it happened to many of my colleagues. It happened that some bad things happened, and some lawsuits and blocked projects, bankruptcies, all over Europe. I'm not talking about Croatia, I'm talking about my friends from Germany, from France. Many bad stories are on the road.
So the production is also dangerous. But still, here in the room we have many young emerging cinematographers and production designers. So maybe we can also give some advice to them how to, let's say, be more visible and present. What could be a good strategy to promote themselves in, just like for the young emerging, how do you scout them, for example? It's through the producer that from the country, and it's through short films?
Through the work. I mean, it depends. I usually scout them through the work, through what they did already. And I think the advice that I can give, because producers and directors travel quite a lot, and they get the opportunities to meet people, unlike you, I think the event like this one is really precious, and I also think that courses like Talent Campus in Berlin or in Sarajevo or in some other countries is a good opportunity not to meet only your colleagues, but the directors as well, producers as well. So I think it's a good thing to do. Sometimes it's annoying, sometimes you have this feeling that, oh, I just lost 5 days of my life. But if you stay at home now, nothing will happen. So I think it's good to travel and meet people, no matter the result is not immediate. Sometimes it comes in later.
I don't know if you have any advice for the young emerging creative professionals that are here in the room, whether having a strong personal approach can help them, whether to identify their approach could be useful already in the phase.
And to volunteer, I forgot that.
Yeah, it's pity that in the new production don't use the volunteer. When I start, it was a lot of volunteer also in the other section, and then we saw who is for film and who is not for film. This is a pity, and this is a problem. I think not only of the money, but also, I don't know, probably also of the producer. That will be fine that the people who start with this work, that take every possible work in the film. And this is very important, that understand the work on the film. And this is a pity that completely disappear from the film. And some young people who start, it's very difficult to find the own project in the beginning. And this was good that also know some people from the film. The film that you say, you work with the producer that you know, that is sure that will be the project, make it in the good way. The same thing is with the other thing, the other person in the film. And I hope that this change from little to little.
But I think it is a financial problem, even if they don't have a big salary or no salary. Just to transport them, to build them in the hotel, it's a huge money. I tried always to bring some of my students with the shooting, and with most of the time accepted, but when we were really traveling around a lot, it's really a big, you have to multiplicate the daily costs just for hotel and per diets, and it makes already a lot. So it is a problem, and sometimes you have a help which is not a help.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you want to comment on that or advice for any.
No, I agree with what Ankica said. For a young cinematographer, let's say, I think it's good that he meets directors, because then directors will know him or her, and maybe they will become friends, and they will see they share some characteristics connected to film, and so like Berlinale Talent Campus and the Sarajevo Talent Campus or events like that are really good for these, friendships and collaborations to start.
So it's very good to be part of all these programs, and I think that this first edition of Focus is really aimed at that. Obviously, having the possibility to work with some great tutors, but also for the first time being able to be part of this network, not only of cinematographers and production designers, but also of directors, producers that are coming from this region. So I really think it's really, really good. Yeah, really, really good to network with them all. I don't know if you have any question. Is there any question to our panelists? Are you curious about something? It's the time to make questions, because then they will disappear. And then it's going to be your turn after this to present yourself. Maybe there's a question here? Yeah.
A question that maybe it's maybe it's because coming from my humanity or something, but I don't understand quite this. How is it problematic, this intercultural conflict? Because all of you had really it's terrible. It's because for me, I think it could also, as you were saying, it could completely bring. It could be a catalyst. And for me also, it has happened other ways around. Sometimes this language thing, we're talking about the same thing, but we have this passion about it, and we're describing it in different poetics, But in the end, when we sit down and execute it, we find out we're all talking about the same thing. So I really don't. Maybe it's some technical.
But maybe that's a mistake, because I agree completely what you said. It can be a very. It make us rich to think that. But in fact, in my experience, it was always confrontation with stupid nationalism. Connected with the language, that's what I meant.
And I will give you the example from set. For example, we were working on one big project from Sweden. And so I'm from Croatia, so there was a Croatian-Sweden crew. And Croatian crew was giggling all the time. Because we like to giggle and we have a time and we hug a lot, we touch each other a lot. And I think that the director from Sweden, she thought that we were looking down on her, like giggling because we think she's stupid or something like that. So I think she felt uncomfortable all the time because we had we were smiling all the time and we were hugging and so screaming. And screaming, we always have quiet sets. But from her point of view, she felt insecure because she thought that we are not taking the job very seriously, which was a mistake because we did, and that we were making jokes about her, which was not the truth. So it took her like 2 or 3 weeks to realize this is how the Croats are. Oh, they do have respect. They respect me, but she lost like 2 to 3 weeks to realize that it's not. It has nothing to do with her. It's just the way we are. So this is a cultural difference.
It's part of the integration because eventually it solves out.
Yes.
No, and the stress during shooting makes it not possible to discuss that kind of things. Because it works or doesn't work. The focus is somewhere else, so that's why it is a fact sometimes.
well, to me, the two occasions that I had with the big vendors as art director for the tiny part in Sicily, and certainly with Abbas Kiarostami when we shot in Tuscany, Copy Conform. I think as a human being we deal with judgment, our mind, our control. So in a way, it's. I understand that there's like a border with what is a question towards what it is the question professionally speaking and what is an encounter between people. But I would say that a good tool which helps me as a human being, but as even a professional, has been to keep open. Working with Abbas Kiarostami for me was one of the most incredible experiences to learn, to listen in a different way to a method, to something completely different. And it was a beautiful experience, which left me a trait, professionally and humanly speaking on both sides. So, it depends, it's encounters.
I don't know if there is any other question from the floor. No, apparently.
I've had one, if you
Yes.
don't mind, concerning the funds that were you responsible for, or you, no, you're not, sorry, but here, what I can observe in Germany it started, in Austria the same thing, in France I'm not sure, now it's better, that more and more from the financial resources goes to stupid commercial TV productions.
That's Germany.
Yeah, in Austria too.
Germany is worse than Europe, I think.
Yeah. So, do you have, you're conscious of that? How do you react in your areas? So of course, we have all the funds were invented to support the weakest, to balance the unjustified things from the market. And now we have the situation that the normal creamy series from the TV takes the half of the budget.
I know the answer, because in Germany, Germany being one of the richest countries in Europe, made several mistakes. They let distributors actually decide. The way the national film funds providing subsidies to all European films. None of the European films can actually finance the production out from distribution. So we are all, in this way or another, consuming the state subsidies. And in Germany, they have a scheme where distributors, you need to have distributor on board to be able to approach to the film fund. And that is a huge mistake. Because distributors...
So many different places.
No, but in Germany it's obligatory, yeah, and it goes on in all Germany, in all regions of Germany. And you need to have distributor on board, and distributor needs to give you a letter that he or she will distribute your film, otherwise you cannot approach your fund. And this is a little by little, in 1 decade, we can all, we are witnessing the huge fail of German film in terms of quality, in terms of presence on big festivals. And this is because of this commercial input. Yeah. And your film...
Speaking about TV people, they earn money from the spectators,
yes,
they
but
earn
the
money
film...
from the publicity, and they ask for...
And they ask for importance in decision chain. So I always, I think the German film professionals and authors should strongly complain against that, because it really hurts the film industry in general, and now Austria is copying the same system, where the guy who has the money already, because he distributes American films, has a call in a choice of projects. So it's the inner problem of the decision making on the film fund.
Yeah, I feel it the wrong direction. But
In our region here, for example, actually, we had this co-development fund between the three countries, Italy, Slovenia, Croatia, which is basically not Italy, but our region, Friuli Venezia Giulia. And we started just with documentaries and long feature fiction film. We are considering the possibility to open up also to TV series, but not all the three funds have the same financial system. So for example, Slovenia Film Center does not support TV series. Because obviously there is a demand of the market. Obviously it's good also in terms of like for our local industry to be involved in this kind of long-term projects so that people can work both like technicians but also all the creative professionals. And personally, we have nothing against high quality TV series. It's just a problem of like quality, I think. But it's like also for a long feature fiction film. It's the same because I think in the last years the number of long feature films in Europe has increased amazingly. The total number of films produced. So it's kind of similar.
I think it's not the same problem because the TV station is per se another institution,
for sure.
which is already financed. It receives tax money, it receives advertising, publicity money, and they want to have out from the pot something. And they just press down the prices for the producers. But I feel it really unfair and against the spirit of the funds.
And gaming industry is taking the development money. So we have TV and the gamers,
When it comes to
they're loaded with money and they take it from us.
in the argument with working places and food hotels. We are very poor.
Sorry, it's completely off the topic, but this, what you're talking about, what we have been talking about so far, it's kind of more super professional approach, which I mean, for at least a few people and me who are students, it's kind of way far away. I mean, it's kind of information or knowledge that I would need maybe in a couple of years, but for now, you know, as students who are struggling to get funds and it would be better if you know more about that, if there's something you know about as a producer, if you know how students should approach to get funds or how students can.
But you are more concerned as well at the same time, because what they use for one week or day, you could do 5 films maybe.
Yeah.
So it is a subject.
One thing that we were saying yesterday, now that in a way to have more money or a budget for a movie sometimes, it's a double, I don't know how to say this in English, n'arma doppio taglio. There's the dark side of it. I need to do exactly maybe the opposite process to understand if my choice was done anyways. Even if I didn't have that tools, which means the possibility of spending that money. So, as an approach, I would say there is no better school to be in contact with what is simple and what is needed. And I don't know if this is a little start to your question, but for me, for instance, it's very important to have a chance to have a big project and then a small project, because I still need to feel that there is a contact with a certain way of observation, which is what I require to myself in order to start a creative process.
I think that maybe we should stop, because actually in 15 minutes we will have to start with showcase of all the participants of the focus workshop. So I will give a big round of applause to our panelists. Thank you for sharing your experience with us. Thank you so much. And see you in 15 minutes here.